What's up, y'all? I'm here to talk about the awesome buffs and changes for yet another awesome and super forgettable Pokemon, Bouffalant. I fucking love Bouffalant, and I've given him some very, very substantial buffs as always. So he has two honestly incredible and perfect abilities flavor-wise, Fluffy and Headstrong. Headstrong prevents recoil damage, which is very fitting for Bouffalant, given that he has those guard hairs that are supposed to prevent him from just taking recoil damage. And then also the Pokedex says that their fluffy fur absorbs damage, and they have that giant afro, therefore Fluffy, very, very fitting as well. There are a couple of pure normal types with fur coat, which is relatively similar to Fluffy, those being Stoutland and technically Furfur, although you'll see what I'm doing with Furfur when we get there relatively soon. But the overlap isn't that bad because compared to Stoutland, Bouffalant is a lot stronger, a little bit less bulky, and of course, keep in mind that Fluffy only works for contact moves. So, for example, you'll be swallowing things like physical contact fighting type moves, but stuff like Earthquake or Icicle Crash or Gunk Shot is not going to be affected by Fluffy, and it's going to hit right through. Your base bulk is very good though. 95, 95, 95 is perfect. I don't think I would change anything there. If I wanted to be super pedantic, I could give him more HP and drop his Spidef a little bit, just for like the logical aspect of it, but that's super unnecessary, and I'm not going to do that. So in general, only stat changes are just better speed, better attack, to keep up with the higher power levels in this hack. But that main draw here is the abilities and the great move pool. Fluffy makes him an absolute tank, and then you can use infinite usability capsules to use Headstrong when you need to. However, keep in mind that the Shell Bell now heals you by 20% of damage dealt. So recoil moves like Wild Charge, Play Rough, Rock Climb, and Takedown, which are Fairy, Electric, Rock, and Fighting respectively, are all TMs, right? Those only deal 20% recoil, so a Shell Bell is going to cancel that out. So Headstrong is a bit redundant, although you can use an actual item with Headstrong and those 4 moves. And then at level 48, you'll be getting Double Edge, which is 125 base power and has a 50% chance to drop defense. And then throughout the 50s and 60s, mostly just throughout the 50s, you'll be getting Head Smash, Submission, and Headlong Rush, all of which would normally deal 30% recoil and drop your drop your defense and special defense by 1, like Close Combat does. So Head Smash, Submission, Headlong Rush, those are 3 great coverage moves that have 150 base power and deal no recoil. So you're only taking the defense drops, which in game isn't that great actually, because you have a much better speed stat. I think 75 fits them. I could have actually gone higher, like 85 or even 90, because he is a Buffalo, and they can run and charge pretty quickly. But I don't see him as a 550 base stats Littlemon, although there is a lot of those in his hack. I think 535 alongside stuff like Tauros fits him better. So. And I didn't want to take away any Spidef or anything, so I went with the 75 speed, which is still a very good speed tier. He can chop and slap on a choice scarf for certain boss fights. He also has priority in the form of quick attack and first impression, so those are 2 really strong priority moves. But in general, you're using Fluffy for the bulk, and then maybe 20% of the time you'll be using Headstrong with late game, especially with those moves like Double Edge and your coverage moves, all of which are great coverage. But you also have other coverage that isn't recoil, for example, stuff like Megaton Kick, Mega Horn, Stone Edge, Zen Headbutt, Blaze Kick, Raging Fury, High Horsepower. All these moves are buffed or changed, so you can check out what those do in the description. Bouffalant is not just an Unga Bunga attack button, though. He's also a great defensive Pokemon and a great utility Pokemon in this hack because of that insane bulk that he has with Fluffy. When he takes contact moves, that 95 base defense becomes absolutely astronomical. Even with 0 defense investment, you're still hitting, what is that, 420, 440, 452. 452 defense, uninvested 452 defense when you're taking contact moves. That's absurd. It's very, very, very bulky. And you have stuff like Slack Off for reliable recovery, as well as really good stat dropping moves like Parting Shot, Scary Face, Leer, Skirmish, and other really cool stuff like Battle Cry later on, which drops the opponent's attacking stats by 2, which is huge. And then you have good setup too, Cotton Guard, Amnesia, Bulk Up, Swords Dance, although keep in mind that setup moves are nerfed in several ways. The PP is lower, the climate in general is a lot more harsh because of all of the crit moves running around that will bypass through defensive boosts, and then speed boosting has all kinds of powerful priority moves to check speed boosting threats. Not to mention there's also stuff like Priority Heart Swap and Topsy-Turvy and Haze to keep setup sweepers in check in this hack, because setup in general is pretty broken in game. But it's still a good option. You can definitely at least kill a few Pokemon before you're forced out by whatever the AI sends in. And maybe for some fights, if you're really smart about it and you prepare and you equip a specific item and a specific EV spread, you can sweep. It just takes a lot more preparation than it used to. Skull Bash is awesome on him. Skull Bash is 90 base power, but it always crits. It gives you +1 attack, defense, and accuracy, so that's insane with a power herb. Or just not even, you can run raw Skull Bash with Fluffy, honestly. Tank a physical hit, get that defense boost on the first turn, and then you know, charge on the second one. You could run leftovers as well with Slack Off and Skull Bash. That'd be pretty fun. He's got a lot of different things he can do. Rage is awesome with Fluffy. Rage is 80 base power, and it gives you +1 attack each time you click it, as long as they attack you. So that's huge with Fluffy, because you could, of course, take hits very well with Fluffy. Assault Vest would be really good. Although you do lose out on that Slack Off recovery, you can still run a mean Assault Vest set in game for certain fights, and then you can pivot out with U-turn when the time is right. In general, he's just a goat. He's got other powerful normal stabs like Giga Impact and Strength being normal type close combat, and Giga Impact being 160 base power and dropping your attack stat by 2. So those are also all really strong. In general, this is super straightforward. I fucking love Bouffalant though. He's such an awesome Pokemon. Tauros, in terms of competition with other pure normal types, those were honestly kind of a living hell to balance around one another, to make sure that they didn't overlap with one another. Bouffalant turned out perfect though, in my opinion. There was no like, oh, this one is only not getting this ability because of overlap. But for example, Tauros has Reckless and Stamina, so he is similar. He is much faster, but also a lot less bulky and a lot less strong. But Reckless actually makes him deal more damage than Bouffalant does with recoil moves. However, you're not, you're still taking that recoil damage. And then Stamina is similar to Fluffy, but Fluffy is immediate, while Stamina takes a while to get going. But both are great. And you have there's 18 pure normal types in this game, so there's not that many anymore, but that's still a good amount that I had to balance around one another. So yeah, in general, the Bouffalant's awesome. Love this Pokemon. Hopefully you like these buffs and changes too. I could cover a few more things, like Select Berry Flail Reversal would be pretty fun. That could be really fun, actually, and super good for certain fights, because you can teach Indoor as a TM whenever you need it. So yeah, I'll leave the video off there. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you found it entertaining. If you did, let me know in the description, in the comment section below. Excuse me. Definitely make sure you check out the Google Sheet in the description. I've yet to explain that, by the way. Every move in this hack is buffed or changed in some regard. But if you listen this far into the video, you definitely know that. So I'll spare you the time of explaining it. Peace, everybody.